Hey, welcome into another video. This is a video that I'm actually adding inside as things change and we find new strategies. I've tested this extensively, and it's just one of those things that you don't hear about a lot. Probably not going to apply to you, probably not going to be a main strategy, but I want to give it to you nonetheless. This is something called surf scaling, okay? That strategy, the name kind of it is interesting because the idea here, and we'll talk about it in a second, is your budget is going to go up and down, just like how you might ride a wave up and down, carving up and down that wave. You can think about it as a roller coaster, whatever, but surf scaling right here is the name of this strategy. It's actually something I found through a very small group of people that they have a lot of volatility inside of their advertising. They're the very aggressive people on TikTok ads and on Facebook ads where they try crazy stuff, and I imagine their sales are just a complete roller coaster throughout the year. This is a dramatic form of advertising, okay? No TikTok rep will ever back this up. They'll always tell you this is a bad idea, but give it a shot, okay? This strategy basically means you launch a couple, you could technically do this with one ad group, and you're gonna raise the budget throughout the day as it works. So here's the specifics. Adjust the budget on 2-hour increments based on the results. The more positive results, if it gets better, right, you raise the budget and the results continue to get better over the next 2 hours, or no change, then you're gonna raise the budget again. If it gets worse, you're gonna lower it, wait 2 hours and do it again. So you can do this on 1-hour increments, 2, 3, but whatever you do, take that same increment and kind of stick with it throughout the day. So first of all, obviously very time consuming. This is like an aggressive strategy. You kind of have to be at the computer a little bit. However, you can just check in every couple hours and do this, and it only takes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Go through, change the name of your ads, change the budget. Pretty simple. I personally have tried this with 2 to 3 ad groups, slightly different targeting, some different creatives mixed in there, and it actually works pretty well. It's just not something that really delivers insane consistent results. I'll notice it might work well for a day or two, but you're really having to be on top of it, and then the next day it's just crazy expensive, right? And so when it's stupidly expensive, you just keep lowering the budget. So let's say, for an example, it has spent $270 so far today, and it's like a $70 cost per purchase, totally unprofitable, it's terrible. You might lower that budget from 500 to 300. So you're basically capping the budget to right above where it is, let it slow down that spend dramatically for a couple hours, and then boost it again back to 500 and see if it starts to pick up those results again, which sometimes it will. So you can't really do this strategy too well on Facebook because there's a more defined learning phase. And while there technically is a learning phase on TikTok, it is not as defined. And things like this can work. It's just one of those things that's going to be wildly inconsistent, but at the end of the day, it almost doesn't matter because you're controlling the cost, right? If you don't like the results you're getting, you're just going to bring that budget to the nearest whole number is how I like to think about it, above where I've already spent. If I've spent 263, I'm going to drop the budget to 300 if the results are terrible and wait a bit. If it's at $530 spent, I might bring it to 550 or usually 600. I still want it to be able to spend a little bit because usually it'll optimize out, get a couple more purchases for you, just to try to pull that cost per purchase on that ad group down to more of an account average. That's how TikTok likes to think about it. So this strategy of surf scaling can work really well. It's aggressive. It's one of those things people surf scale from, I imagine, up to $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a day budgets, but that's not something I've done. I've only brought it up to about 7,000 or 8,000, and it was just too much to manage to really have it be something that I can do consistently and make sense of, because you really got to be on top of it. But it is a great strategy. And by the way, I do want to mention, I hope it's obvious, but this is only a strategy you do once you have CBOs running, a lot of ad groups running. You have an account that is making consistent sales. Basically, anything you launch gets a lot of sales. You're spending thousands a day. That's the only situation where this would make sense to plug into to try something a little more aggressive with a little more volatility, right, just to kind of help. So again, one of those things to try. I just wanted to put it out there. It's not a very in-depth strategy, but 2 to 3 hour increments work really well. The reason it's a tighter time frame is because if you're raising your budget from 500 to 1,000, sometimes the results won't change in terms of your cost per purchase. It will just keep shooting through the roof, and it can get really unprofitable really quickly. So you have to stay on top of it, and again, that's why we have a shorter time frame with it. So that is surf scaling, a very simple, very easy strategy. Just one of those things. Raise your budget throughout the day based on the results. If it's doing worse, you can lower it. If it's doing really well, you can raise it with no limit. You can go from 500 to 2,000 or 500 to 5,000, whatever you want to do. I don't think anything too dramatic like that is probably the best option. I usually think of doubles. I go from 500 to 1,000, 2 hours later, 1,000 to 2,000, 2,000 to 3 or 4. You can get pretty big numbers pretty quickly and just adjust as needed. So something to think about, another strategy I wanted to put out for you. Hope you enjoy it.